Welcome back to Learning the Tarot. We are moving on to the swords this time. So this is the Ace of Swords. So honestly, this was not as vibrant of imagery to work off of, and the other, it just felt like when we started with the Ace of Wands, it was more information than this one. This one was just it felt very flat in comparison to the Wands when it came to the books that I've been using as my references, but there is at least a little bit. So the swords are supposed to represent air, which is always going to trip me out because I don't really understand why the swords are supposed to be with air and wands are with fire. Never made sense to me, but whatever. It's a setup system, so we just roll with it, but it's supposed to represent the mind. And so with that in mind, the ace is supposed to represent ideas and new beginnings. Honestly, a lot of this kind of felt from the Modern Witchcraft Book of Tarot, that one, it felt like it was more oh, but look, it's the ace meaning, versus for it specifically being with the swords. But yeah, it's supposed to be beginnings and specifically new ideas and stuff, which still kind of felt reminiscent of the wands, honestly. But yeah, so we're supposed to have new ideas, new beginnings. And then from the Idiot's Guide, it also included you have the strength, which I appreciated that little bit more of why is it the swords? And so it's the strength behind those ideas, and right now your success would be kind of inevitable, you can do it, it will happen. It's a card that if you were looking into the future, is this thing gonna work? It would kind of be a yes, or at least right now you have the tools needed to proceed. And whatever your idea is successful. It doesn't really specify what your ideas could be, really. The wands was really career stuff, and this was just ideas. So whatever your idea is seems to be going just fine. Then of course we have the reverse of this card, where once again, I feel 90% of the reverse cards, it's just listed as delay. Do not proceed. Do not pass go. Just stop. Every time it seems all of them are all about delays. And it's I get it, but also there's gotta be more meaning than that, right? There's gotta be more than just delay, delay, delay. I don't know. Just something I'm noticing at this point. And again, I'm sick, so I'm sorry that I'm really nasally. I was hoping the cold medicine would help, but it's not. So we might only record a couple times with today's situation, and then hopefully it'll start getting better. I have my doubts. So the other thing with this card being reversed is that if you don't have the delays side of it, you still shouldn't proceed, but for different reasons. The Idiot's Guide definitely gave more context of why you shouldn't proceed, it felt like. And it's basically at this point, there's a lot of miscommunication, and you could come across in a way that you're not intending. Specifically, you might be a bit too pushy or forceful in how you're coming across to people, and you might end up hurting people. Obviously, probably not physically, but just with your words and how you're coming across. I've mentioned this before, but think back to the Mercury retrogrades, where communication is off, kind of the same vibes, where it's you're gonna come across in the way you're not intending to, and that can cause problems down the road. It might be, you say something wrong in a business deal and then things are screwed over. You might say something to a friend and piss them off, whatever. And since it's tied with ideas, I feel that miscommunication could be if you're trying to write a book, it might not have, the idea might not be good, or it might come across in a way that people won't really like, or it just might not be the time to do it. And a lot of communication stuffs too, which it's all about the mind in this one. So I don't know, trying to tie it to something, I don't know what else you would tie it to, really. Are you just pissing off friends and family? It doesn't really specify. Again, Wands was a lot of career stuff, where this one's just the mind. And later down the road, I know the swords is gonna really veer into kind of specifics, but right now it just doesn't really feel like much, you know? It also warns to not have any confrontation at this time, which again kind of pulls into the idea of it being a retrograde, because really, when Mercury's in retrograde, you really need to avoid trying to have as many conflicts as possible, because miscommunication is just left and right. And honestly, most of us witches know that that's what's going on, and we just kind of hold our tongue and are let's not feed into the chaos. And that seems to be what this message is as well. It's basically don't fuel that fire of whatever's going on. Just there's a time and a place to fight your fight. This might not be it. It also warns you that, like, you kind of need to think before you speak and just be conscious of what you're, like, gonna do. And a lot of this is, like, reflecting and thinking before you do anything. And I think that's part of the delay side of it, is, like, just think about what you're gonna say, what you're gonna do, what this idea is, whatever. Because, again, it didn't give a whole lot. Like, that's it. That's all my notes that I got. So, like, it just seems like this card is about delaying and just, like, waiting it out, and maybe, like, just consider stuff before you proceed. Like, maybe if this card's reversed, it's all about, like, reflecting and, like, maybe look at your reflection on the sword, so to speak, before you go forward, because, like, the way Idiot's Tarot had described it, it's like a double-edged sword, where, like, it could be good or it could be bad, but, like, honestly, the imagery for this one was just, like, so off, and, like, there was not a whole lot to work off of, so I'm just gonna roll with, if it's right side up, it's just, like, the card of, like, go ahead, you're gonna have success, like, your ideas are good. You can proceed with whatever your idea is, which is very vague, because it's like, is this an idea? Like, I can only think of career stuff, really, so I don't know, because I know that emotions are supposed to be for cups, so what's this gonna be? And, like, for wands was more career, like, what is the sword supposed to represent? It really hasn't said yet. Again, this is learning the tarot, we're learning it together. I've pulled cards here and there, but I'm trying to learn it, like, officially, kind of, a little bit better than I've got a grasp on it right now. And so I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually, but, like, for now, just reading these as I am, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless, like, if you're doing a specific reading, but, like, I don't know how it would pull in a reading. Like, again, Modern Witchcraft, they have the examples, but the examples were just kind of meh. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being overly critical and, like, not seeing what it could possibly be. Being sick does kind of hamper that because you're more focused on, like, trying to breathe and, like, not cough and sneeze all the time. But I don't know. I would love to hear your interpretations of this one in the comments down below, because, again, it felt kind of vague of, like, a new idea. Whatever a new idea is. And then the reversed, honestly, if you just roll with it being, treat the situation that it is in Mercury retrograde, that makes sense. That works. So anyways, I'm gonna keep this one a little short because I keep having coughing fits. So we're gonna end this one here. I would love to hear your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. Hopefully next time I see you, the cold medicine will be working better. I was planning on recording more today, but I think we will not see the same background again. I think I'm too sick. So anyways, I would love to hear your interpretations of the Ace of Swords. I almost said wands. Ace of Swords in the comments down below. Huge thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names here on the screen. If you'd like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.